light a fire, won't you burn up all you know? You've had so much time, you've had time to let things go, but now you're burning letters out there in the snow in your backyard. Oh, how these years go rolling, you're 33. It is time for the cross, it is time for the Bodhi tree. Still you like to cry every time you skin your knee, because it's hard. It's the same old friends on New Year's Eve. It's the same snow falls on the same old leaves. And there's the same old joy, and there's the same old hurts. Same old corduroy shirt. The old storm windows and the broke-tailed squirrel and the grocery list and the skateboard girls, and all your rusty brain cells give you a twirl. Oh no, oh no, I've got a kitchen radio and I've got coffee on. I could use just a month to lean upon, but still the open road wants to get me gone. Off I go, and it's the same old jar of car keys by the door, the same old scuffed up floor, the same old thirst for more until they put me in the dirt. Oh, it's the same old nights alone, it's the same old baby, when will you be coming home? Don't you want to feel the same old joy, feel the same old hurt? Same old corduroy shirt, same old corduroy shirt. Thanks very much. I'm going to sing one more tune. We're going to take a little break. Now, how does this work for the people online? We're going to have some beer and some cold cuts. Here's what I think you should do, wherever you are. I think you should have some beer and some cold cuts. That's what How does that work? Do they? Okay, good. Yeah. Here's a tune. This is a tune called Dynamite Bill. It's got the lowest note I've ever used in a song. My dad helped me write this tune. I wrote this with my friend Tim Gearin. He had started it, and he had the first verse, which was all about this stranger. She was just a stranger, she was just a stranger, she was just a stranger too. And all we knew about her is that she's a stranger and that she was not looking for you, which is a limited amount of information. But, in songwriting, the less you know, the better off you are, And so I was at Tim's house. He had that verse. I was like, this rules. This is going to be a great song. And so we dove right in, and a lot of songwriting is this, where you're like, okay, well, what if... so we do. I mean, Tim and I work together pretty well. We're very comfortable doing that. But in this particular thing wasn't going anywhere. So we just shelved it, But it was a shame, because for crying out loud, she's a stranger and she isn't looking for you. There's a lot in there. I finally realized we needed to figure out who she was looking for. We needed a character. So I had this realization when I was in a motel late after a gig in Saratoga Springs, New York, and so I wrote my dad. I wrote my dad an email from this hotel room. I said, "Dear Dad, maybe I should tell you, my father was born in 39, and his parents were born in 1898, so he grew up on a different planet from his kids. I mean, he remembers getting electricity. You know, that's all you need to say. So I wrote him an email, you know, he's an urban person now, and I said, Dear Dad, do I remember this correctly? Did your family hire somebody to blow up a boulder behind a farmhouse when you were a little boy growing up on the dairy farm there in Sheboygan? And could the gentleman's name possibly have been Dynamite Bill? And that's the sort of, apparently, the sort of email that gets my dad very excited, because he wrote back like in 11 minutes. I got an email from him that said, Dear Peter, he was Dynamite Bill, and he learned his methods/skills in one of the wars. He was about the age of my parents, and so it must have been the First World War, and he not only blew the boulder up out of the ground, but caused it to split into two equal pieces, plus the many inevitable fragments. His fame was that in Prangi's department store, the local department store, he dynamited their elevator shaft without disturbing the contents of the store. And also, if a horse or a cow died, he would haul it away and process it into meat for the mink farmers to feed to their mink. You can imagine how I took this information in as an 8 or 9-year-old. It was something to talk over with the other fellow grade schoolers. Anyhow, Peter, so many stories and so little time. Love, Dad. So that's my father. And I finished this tune in the next 5 minutes. This is called Dynamite Bill. She was just a stranger, she was just a stranger too. She was just a stranger, she was just a stranger, she was just a stranger too. She was just a stranger, she was just a stranger. She came into town looking for a manger. She was a stranger, but she wasn't looking for you. Shining like the city, like the city, like the city, like the light of a city by the sea. Shining like the city light, pretty like the light of a city by shining sea. Shining like the city light, and I was half lit up like a half-assed Christmas tree. She was shining like the city light, she wasn't looking for me. Was January Medley, January Medley. She run off with Muhammad Ali. January Medley, January Medley. She run off with the little boy Muhammad Ali. January Medley, not particularly deadly. She was shining like the light of a city by the sea. January Medley, she run off with Muhammad Ali. She was looking for Dynamite Bill, Dynamite Bill, standing in the back of the room. Dynamite Bill, Dynamite Bill, standing in the back of the room. Funny, you never think you're gonna need Dynamite Bill till someday something happened and you find that you will need Dynamite Bill, because you gotta make something go boom. So now January Medley and Dynamite Bill and the little boy Muhammad Ali run off to Honolulu, or maybe Ashtabula, or maybe just as far as the eye can see. With Dynamite Bill, they might be living there still. At least is what a little birdie whispered to me. January Medley, Dynamite Bill, Muhammad Ali. Oh, she was just a stranger, she was just a stranger, she was just a stranger too. She was just a stranger, a stranger, a stranger. She was just a stranger too. She was just a stranger with an element of danger. Came into town just looking for a manger. She was a stranger, she wasn't looking for she was just a stranger. She wasn't looking for she was just a stranger. She wasn't looking for you. Thank you very much. All right, online people, seriously, Get yourself some cold cuts.